Okay, good evening, everybody. Today is February 16th, Sunday, 2025. This will be the first part in catching up the history or the timeline of what's been going on since last year. Last time I got sick was August 2024. Come to find out, that was the Lionsgate portal. That's when I was moving into shifting into different perspective. My life started a new phase and the changes were happening. Barricades and blocks that had been built up, that I understand were placed to protect me mentally, emotionally, and physically, started crumbling. I could not understand it at the time, but I knew something massive was underway, reshaping and forming a new reality. A reality that I now know was always there, but I just was unable to fathom, accept, or comprehend. I had to go through hell in order to embrace this heaven. Chaos had to be in order for peace and harmony to be recognized. Everything is and always has been exactly as it should be, all according to my purpose, all in alignment with the greater good. None of this can be logically understood, but must be received with an open heart. The mind, in its limited capacity from its narrow perspective, cannot comprehend the expansiveness and depth of what my experiences have brought me. It judges, holds disdain, anger, contentment, resentment, and sees everything as an assault, attack, or negative. The heart, in all its wisdom, does not require explanation, but rather accepts and embraces all knowing, the intimate, undeniable connection, and that there is no separation. After getting sick in August, I had made a dozen videos or so on my other channel, but something didn't feel right. I felt like I was holding on to something that no longer served me, like I was keeping myself stuck and not allowing change. So I stopped making videos. I felt like not only was I doing myself a disservice, but that I was also hindering others in their journeys by rehashing and focusing on old paradigms and giving energy and attention to systems and ways of being that wouldn't exist without external validation. I also was extremely sensitive to how my energy was being absorbed, judged, and utilized by others. It was draining, and I had to seclude myself and hunker down and regroup. I had started making private videos for my kids and nieces and nephews. The only ones who were watching were Gwen and Brandon. This further affected me as I was giving, but it wasn't being received by the ones I loved and cared about the most. I was still looking for validation and seeing my worth by the approval, acceptance, and actions of others. I had a lot of internal work to do and I knew it. Why did I need that from others so badly that if I didn't get it, I would feel useless? Why did I expect these children who I misled and showed such a bad example to all of a sudden just forgive, forget, and now accept me as some kind of moral life compass and a light in the darkness when I was responsible for the dimming of their own light? I had to humble myself further. I needed humiliation. I knew I had done a lot of introspection and thinking on my past and how my behaviors and words had affected those around me, but I was still holding on to such a strong sense of who I thought I was that there was an internal battle raging. On the one hand, I knew my old ways, thinking, and emotions no longer served me, and that there was more and healthier ways that would lead me to the peace and harmony I craved. But on the other hand, I felt justified and righteous in how I reacted and felt logically and emotionally on how I reacted and how I felt logically and emotionally to others in my own situation and environment. I started to realize on a deeper level how I was giving power to the very things I wanted to overcome and move past by refusing to give up my claim to being victimized by my past in the present day-to-day routine I found myself in. I felt myself slowly being pulled out of this circular patterns I had been reliving. From the middle of August to the end of November, I was full steam ahead in clearing out my body of the parasites I had hosted for so long. I had allowed myself to be taken over and had become so subservient to their demands, it had actually imprinted into my nervous system, controlling my thoughts and behaviors. Sometime in October, I knew that there was going to be another step in this eradication that I had not yet implemented. I could feel it. The feeling reminds me of how animals will intuitively know when a storm or tsunami is coming and start moving in the opposite direction. I could feel the undeniable sense of this new wave of insight and action just on the horizon, and I was anticipating major changes ahead. The power of frequencies and the knowing of how everything material exists through vibration and the fact we are energy beings kept being brought to the front of my consciousness like a fly that keeps landing on your nose and persists in grabbing your attention. Although I had known these things for years and talked about them with others and had studied them, I was about to comprehend these truths on a much deeper and intimate level, comparable to how I knew of animal slaughter and torture and forced breeding for consumption, but still gladly partook of such an inhumane act by using the excuses of tradition, nutrition, and excuses like everyone else is doing it, and it's just the way it is, and until one day it all clicked. The knowing aligned so perfectly it became a powerful force that drove straight past all the excuses and justifications and into the heart where it touched me so deeply and intimately that I could no longer deal with the cognitive dissonance with surface level excuses and had to change my actions to align with what I knew was right. That was a year and a half ago, and now, looking back, it was one of the most important changes I had made in coming to this complete alignment of thoughts, words, and actions, body, mind, and spirit. Little did I realize then how that decision propelled my further embracing of the intimate connection we have with all that is. The profound acceptance of the truth, as above, so below, as the inner, so to the outer, and the micro as to the macro, were becoming even more ingrained, embraced, and understood in such intimate ways that the logical mind couldn't keep up, and there was a noticeable shift in thinking from the processes of the mind to filtering everything through the innate knowing of the heart. The tsunami was approaching, and I was excitedly, but still somewhat apprehensively, awaiting its arrival, preparing my tugboat the best I could, making sure things were in order and making peace with what was in preparation for the cleansing waters to clear out what didn't belong. I had no idea it would be so thoroughly life-changing as to render the old man unrecognizable and purged through a cellular and energetic level that the space he once took would be left vacant, open to the flow of life. Things the old man would have dug his feet into the sand and fought tooth and nail, completely surrendered willingly and with gratitude. A new state of being was on the horizon, and I occasionally would receive glimpses of this new beginning, and the relief it would bring was exhilarating and imbued with encouragement and a renewed sense of the magic of life. I had started meditating, actually sitting in meditation, sometime in October, November, and was noticing some deep inner workings that the discipline was affecting. I was intuiting that just the physical act of dedicating a block of time to stillness was proving to my inner self, the critic, the thinker, the problem solver, that there was another way than to constantly be in the pressure cooker of doing. That there was another way than to constantly be in the pressure cooker of doing. That state of doing that never ends, where you can check everything off your list, take a deep breath of relief, look back at your list, and there's another dozen things requiring your attention and demanding action. Just like the parasites, this old repetitive circular paradigm was about to be purged, made extinct as it would no longer be able to survive in the environment I was creating. The yoga combined with the meditation were instigating each other forward, building momentum. No apparent goal in sight, just experiencing how they work together like the pedals and wheels on a bike. Push on the right pedal and the wheels would start moving. Push on the left pedal as it came around and the wheels gained momentum. It was working as it should. No more resistance. This momentum was bringing more truth deeper into my conscious awareness and into the depths of my being. Facts I had known for decades were coming back around, insisting on deeper introspection and promising, with a more thorough understanding, there was a better way. Common knowledge, such as how our electronic devices are all powered by crystals and would not work without them. Literally everything from our communication devices like computers, phones, watches, most medical equipment in hospitals and doctors' offices, laboratory equipment, monitoring systems and industrial equipment, and on, all powered by crystals. We are literally surrounded and running our lives powered by crystals. The old paradigms and beliefs were being shattered. No longer did I view crystals as New Age bullshit, but as powerful necessary tools to be utilized for my benefit and continued growth and moving forward in my journey. The first crystals I purchased were shungite and black tourmaline. The moment I put them on, my world changed. Immediate relief from the oppression and bombardment I had been experiencing every moment of the day, every day for so long. My relationship with them began. I bought crystals for protection of my room, then my house, then my property. The effects were immediate and undeniable. I expanded past protection into reclaiming all lost parts of me with my very first crystal grid that contains fluorite, clear quartz, and amethyst. This newly accepted paradigm shift brought with it more life-changing revelations. I cleared my room of everything that no longer served me and built an altar that encompasses a whole wall. I started building it akin to how Noah built the ark. No logical explanation at the time, but just a deep sense of knowing it was the right thing to do. I had no idea how profound an impact that would make on my path moving forward. It has become a physical representation of my internal journey, a beautiful, complex, powerful physical manifestation of who I am. My ceremonies are held sitting in reverence to it as I have come to worship my authentic self. The eternal light being I am physically incarnate on this plane of existence, beautiful, powerful, and with a purpose. Giving myself over to these laws of nature was the humiliation I needed to break free from my enslavement. I had now been so thoroughly humbled in just these three areas alone, yoga, meditation, and now crystals, that I threw everything on the table to be re-examined through the new lens with deeper understanding of the innate connection of all things, in the power of relenting and surrendering to the natural laws and order of things, in the magic that happens when working in unison with them. I quit my parasite detox protocol in late November, knowing there were still scavengers embedded deeply in my tissue, and at the same time understanding that if I continued utilizing yoga, meditation, and crystals, I could energetically raise my frequency and vibrate at a level where they would not be able to comfortably take up residence any longer. Instead of forceful eviction, these deeply embedded hitchhikers were about to be relocated off their own free will. I would make my internal and external environment so far removed from the comfort they had come to know, they would be begging to be set free. Sitting in meditation, I would feel them moving as the vibrations increased. They would wriggle around everywhere from my hands, arms, upper back and chest, shoulders, neck, and head. It was physically uncomfortable, but oh so satisfying to know I was able to disrupt their cozy existence and had them on the run. I can say it's maybe 6 weeks since the last slithering and wriggling has been felt, and all that empty space has been filled with new cells and an intense new energy. I was experiencing so many breakthroughs, and the revelations and realizations were pouring in. I knew I was still dealing with deeply ingrained programming, perspectives, habits, indoctrination, etc., that was so thoroughly embedded that it was apparent I was still shooting myself in the foot at any given moment. I was still my own worst enemy. I was open to another option, another tool, to add to my onslaught of the old paradigms in order to realize the new. Then Hape resurfaced to my consciousness, and I dove in. So that's part one, guys. I think that's pretty thorough. I went off my calendars. I got extremely detailed calendars for months and months that I was able to go back and reference. Notebooks, things I jotted notes down on, my old videos. I went back and watched a few just to give me timelines, etc. So that's a pretty good thorough explanation from what happened to me in August when I got real sick up until the Hape, which was a couple months ago. So my next focus for writing for the next video will be to update in between 2 months ago or whenever it was when I started Hape and up till now, unless it comes out of me in great detail and I have to split that up as well. But yeah, it'll be coming. Again, any questions, feel free to ask. If I wasn't clear on something, sorry, I literally, I don't read this before. I literally write it and then read it. That was written over the course, I think, of 2 days. So, I hesitate. I don't have all the abbreviations and the commas and everything in the correct order, so I sort of get lost when I'm reading it. But yeah, that's it. I hope everybody's doing well, and I hope this helps clear some confusion as to what has transpired to, bring me to this place I'm at now, and I wish you all the best.